So as I said in the previous video about the January 6 hearings and when they began, this chart for the beginning looked and continues to look really good to me, with that air grand trine, with the Mercury and Venus applying to Pluto by trine, and with Jupiter, Mars, Chiron, Eris in the 5th, especially Jupiter, in the sense that although I described it as entertainment, and a couple of people took objection to that, the idea being that you're putting together something that has enough artistic quality and enough power of presentation to draw people in, which I think the hearings certainly accomplished in the first round. And now we look at the second round, which is due to happen tomorrow, Monday the 13th at 10 a.m. Washington time. And that would be this chart for 10 a.m. June 13th in Washington, D.C. And this chart to me looks quite good, just as good as the previous chart, the one for the first hearings, which had Sagittarius rising. Now we see Leo rising. Leo rising is the same sign as Liz Cheney's sun, likely pointing to her strong role in tomorrow's hearings, just like she was in the first hearings when she was a star. And we see that in this chart, the action from Taurus to Capricorn, and specifically to the Pluto in Capricorn, continues to be in play, because although Mercury, which before was applying to a trine to Pluto, now is past those degrees, but the Venus is yet to connect with the Pluto. Venus is in Taurus, rules Taurus. Taurus is the 10th. The 10th is a place of government. It's a very strong house, and it also rules the 3rd of communication. Therefore, this is ideal for putting out information related to Plutonian matters, such as anything taboo, anything related to terrorism, insurrection, hidden matters, etc. Meanwhile, planets that before were in the 5th, Jupiter, Mars, Chiron, and Eris, now shift to the 9th, which is perfectly fine since the 9th is a legal house. And now the traveling moon from the 5th makes trines to Mars, Chiron, and Eris by applying, but it also carries the energy of Jupiter, which it trined a few hours before, to the other planets. So this is an excellent situation around the way this chart looks. I could also add that the traveling sun continues to apply to a trine to Saturn, so that Gemini communication applies to Saturn, a planet of accountability, and in the 7th, which is another one of the legal houses as well. And then we go further and we notice that this chart is, by the Monday, tomorrow, it's in full moon territory, because the moon is in Sagittarius, the sun is in Gemini, but the full moon happens the following day. So if you move this forward by a day, you see it just a little past at 10 a.m. So somewhere around 7 a.m., early morning, Washington, full moon. Degrees are very significant because this is the range where the Orange Menace has his sun and moon, and it's very troublesome because it is being squared by Neptune. You see it here, the degrees mutable near 23, 24, 25, which trigger his chart in a way that he doesn't like one bit. In fact, this chart is Leo rising just like his chart is Leo rising. Moreover, we also know that if we push this chart forward to see where this is headed, based on the fact that we know the hearings will go until the 23rd, which is when the last hearing is scheduled, then we move forward and we see that on the 23rd, by then Mars is at almost 22 degrees Aries, and this is getting near Trump's Venus-Saturn conjunction in the 12th house, an area that he does not like at all. So we know that the day after, by then it's essentially locked into the aspect 2022, once again, he's going to be in a total rage with the conclusion of the hearings, with the final outcome and so forth. And we know that the Neptune position is due to station right around that time as well, which further enhances the power of that square from the 8th house in his sign. And the Eris is likewise going to be stationing in July, driving into his Venus really hard, which is very difficult energy. And of course, as I've mentioned before a number of times, the Jupiter here is at 7, but it's slowly making its way to a station at 9, whereupon it will station inside his Access Hollywood T-square. But by this point, by the point of the end of the hearings, it's already solidly in there because it is on his Eris and opposing Neptune. So basically, a very difficult situation for the Mar-a-Lago degenerate. And as far as I'm concerned, all of this is looking really good for the progress of the hearings, what we're likely to hear. And we go back to looking into where tomorrow is here, then we would see that the moon being at 9 degrees Sagittarius and moving toward a full moon means that the following day, the information that is going to come out on Monday is likely to be very significant. There will be a lot of talk, a lot of discussion, including a lot of emotion because of the full moon. But realize that the Sagittarius Gemini axis is the information axis, is the media axis. So therefore, it's entirely suitable and very reflective of what is going on at this time.